These swords are not made by any troll.
Nor were they made by any smith among men.
In this video, I will be forging Gandalf's sword, Glamdring. This build took a very long time. In the end, it turned out to be a really good sword. So this is the sword template, just made out of paper, nice and thin and easy, move it around. This is what I'm going to be basing the sword off to try and get the right dimensions. This is the metal we're going to be using to forge the sword. This is spring steel. This is not normal steel. This is a higher carbon steel, but it's extremely springy. Great for knives and swords. Now we can stick it in the forge. Okay, that's it all forged up. So now I'm going to put the template on the sword, and then we will mark out what we need to grind off on the edges, getting the overall shape that we want for the blade. I am now ready to start on the pommel part of the sword, the bottom part here. I'm going to use this. As you might be able to see, there was another one of these on this side, and it was like a weight. I'm using the thin part. I'm going to cut it off and then grind it down to shape. It's pretty simple, it'll be nice and easy. This is probably the easiest part of the sword. Okay, so I've got this pommel in the shape I want. Now it's time to make it look nice. So I'm going to use a fine grit sandpaper angle grinding disc and just go over that and make it nice and smooth. Alright, so this little pommel is pretty much done now. All that's going to happen now is once that's on the sword, we'll give it a nice polish to make it look real nice. So there you go. That's the shape it's going to be. Doesn't resemble it perfectly. So there you go. That's the pommel done. We've got the pommel done. Handle comes last. Next up, we need to work on the crossguard. Okay, so I'm at my forge, and it's time to forge out the crossguard. I'm going to use this big hunky stuff to do it. I'm just going to chuck this in the forge, but I'm going to use a cool little trick to make it easier to forge, which I'll show you right now. So we've got the crossguard all forged up. Now it's time to do a lot of material removing with the angle grinder. This is going to take a while, so this is going to be a time lapse. Now that I've removed most of the high spots on the blade, I'm going to go over it with a sanding disc and just get rid of all the rest of the bumps and stuff and make it nice and smooth. These now fit together nicely. So now I'm going to go with a fine grinding disc, fine grit sandpaper, and just clean off all the rough stuff, and then we can go into detail. I'm ready to add the inscribing on the crossguard now. So I've printed this off. I just need to mark it on the metal with a permanent marker. I've drawn up the grooves that I need to grind in here. I'll use handy Dremel tool and just go freestyle. We are now ready to finish up the outside of the blade here and make it look nice. This is going to be the final touches to the blade. If you have properly hardened the blade is actually going to be too hard. The problem with that is when you go to hit something, your blade is going to shatter, and that's no good. So the way you fix that, reheat it up to a very low temperature, the steel starts to change color. We're going to try and make it go to like a dark brown stage. It goes from brown to purple then to blue is the basic colors. We will use a propane torch to heat it up. I'm about to finish up this sword. Before I do that, I'm going to give it a quick polish, get rid of the scratches, and then we will attach the crossguard, pommel, finish the handle, and it will be done. Now I'm not supposed to do this, but to attach the crossguard, I'm just going to wedge some stuff in there to make it stay. It's not the best, but it works, and it's what I got. This is too long, so it's getting cut. Now on the sword handle, with the actual sword, there's like these almost ribs down the handle part where you hold on. So to make those, I'm going to be using these O-rings. They're rubber, and they just stretch over stuff like that kind of. Once the pommel's attached, we're not going to be able to get it off again. So we need to put these on now so that we can actually get them on there. What we'll do is we'll put them as far up here as possible, wrap some stuff around here so that it doesn't melt the rubber, and then once we want to finish the handle, we'll squeeze them onto the pommel as far as up as we can go, and then we'll add like whatever we put on here. These won't be in our way. So let's get to that. Now that the pommel is all attached, I'm just going to clean up this side because the weld was sticking out a bit too much for the handle, so I'm just going to grind that down and then we can wrap it properly. Then we should be able to wrap it with leather. There you go. It's a sword. Look at that. Boom. What a sword. I figured out this is 2/3 scale of the actual sword that Gandalf has. I wasn't trying to do that. It just kind of happened. Yeah, I think this turned out really good. Let me know what you guys think. Boom. Now there's one last thing that I need to do before I give this to its rightful owners. Let's go. Let's chop this thing!
That is very sharp.
Wow! Nice! Slice the top off. Hey, there you go. You can eat that now. Yeah!